believe it's been 7, 8 years since we met. It might be a little bit
It's
longer.
10. We met in 2011. It's
So
10.
we, holy smoke. So it was 2011. That's the year
I
my
remember
son
that. How
Hudson
come
was
I
born.
remember that and you don't?
Well,
That this is such a one-way love affair. This
I remember when we met, you had flown into town and we just instantly kind of hit it off. And one of the things that I was so enamored by was just your approach to life, your style of leadership, the way you think about humans first. And I really connect with thought leaders who lead with their heart first and who really care about the human beings that they work with. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about what it was like when you decided to take on this role to build the Moss Jägermeister platform in the US. Tell me a little bit about like how you went about doing that and doing it with such integrity.
listen, one of the reasons I love you is that you give me too many compliments, you know. So, but honestly, it's one of those things that I've had the really good fortune. I always say I'd rather be lucky than good. You know, I've had the really good fortune to work with brands that I can truly fall in love with, you know, that really speak to you. And that's one of the beautiful things about the beverage business is you really can fall in love with your work. And people, you know, I say it all the time. I really believe this. You know, if you can fall in love with your work and with the brands that you're working on, that's where it all starts. But we're really not in the beverage business. We're in the people business, you know, because people are where the magic happens, you know, where you really can bring things to life. And for me, and for my journey in kind of the beverage space, it starts with falling in love with the brand you're working with. And it's funny you mentioned Jaeger as I was looking at the Jägermeister opening with Sidney Frank Import Company. I remember the recruiter calling me and saying, and it was another recruiter. Unfortunately, it wasn't, you know, Force Brands. It was another recruiter with Spencer Stewart called me and said, we got this thing, Sidney Frank, you know, we think you should look at it. And I was just in the throes of accepting a cannabis position with a great group, a great outfit that's still doing really well in the cannabis space. And I was just about to accept that job, and they came in, and I said, "Man, Sidney Frank Import Company. I don't know anything about importing. I've never worked in the spirits business." And they said, "Well, the lead brand is Jägermeister." And I was like, "Jägermeister." And truly, as you know, back in college at University of Texas at Arlington, I drank Jägermeister. I love the brand. I've always loved the brand. I've been intrigued by it. It's just one of those things that it is a brand with so much character. So I engaged immediately, like, well, what's the story on Jägermeister? Where's that brand been? What's going on? And so I wound up meeting with the global CEO, Michael Folke, who's a great guy, really a heartful guy. And then I met the family. It's a family-owned company, third generation, really heart forward. You know, I just come off a Red Bull experience where, you know, Red Bull, great brand. I still love the brand. I'm actually sitting here drinking a sugar-free Red Bull in
There
this
you go.
right here, trying to channel my Josh Wand, you know, energy. I got to get my energy level up.
Oh, you got plenty of that.
So the Red Bull experience, though, the brand is amazing, but the Austrians were a little less heartful, I think. No, I mean that I don't mean that to be a criticism, just
Sure.
kind of, you know, just a little more cold than I'm accustomed to. And so when I went to meet the Jägermeister family, I kind of gave them my speech of, hey, look, if you're looking for, you know, a German culture in the U.S., hire a German. But if you're looking for American culture steeped in German history and German heritage, man, I can get that done for you. I love this brand. I love everything about it. And they were very much heart forward, and they continue to be. You know, 5.5 years later, they're still, you know, full of heart for the people, full of heart for the brand. But the story of Jägermeister, you know, to me is it's a German liqueur, and it competes in the liqueur space in the U.S., but it hardly acts like a liqueur. You know, liqueurs are like Bailey's and you know, Di Serrano, and great brands, but they're not really party brands. Like the Jägermeister is a nightlife party brand. So when I first came into Sidney Frank, you know, such an iconic company, Grey Goose story, all the stuff, you know, such incredible history of success. It's a little intimidating.
Yeah.
But I did my normal thing of people first, of coming in and getting to know the people, looking into their eyes and understanding what their journey's been, and which is what I have such a passion for, because I really believe people fit. You know, you just got to, it's your job as a leader to figure out where they fit.
Tell me a little bit more about this. Pulling a brand like Jaeger, which was a staple in the Sidney Frank company, with Grey Goose, with Gekkeikan Sake, with JC, they had this whole
Nice.
portfolio, and then all of a sudden, you take this Jägermeister, which is a massive global brand, but probably declining in the U.S. a little bit. And then you say, we're going to stand up this whole new business, and we're going to maintain the integrity of what's already been created. We're going to breathe life into that. We're going to do partnerships with the NBA, and we're going to come up with this whole new campaign. But then while we're doing that and we're babysitting that brand and make sure it comes to life, we also have to create this hyper growth machine in partner with one of the most famous celebrities in the world, which turned out to be in partnership with Kenny Austin, the fastest growing tequila in the history of tequilas, correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
So when you're doing that and you have this kind of culture from Austrian Jaeger, and then you're saying, but wait a minute, we're going to go faster than anyone else has gone in craft in any new spirits launch. How do you look at culture there? How do you think about the people that were there before that you bring on board, and then the type of psyche or the type of personalities you need to say, grow, 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 grow. This is all about scale during the pandemic. Like you did all of this with Terramano, basically when the world was shut down for a year. I want to hear a little bit more about how you lead with growth for new, maintenance and growth for old, and how you keep everyone connected, because that's a fast moving ship, and it's a big one too.
First 3.5 years exclusively focused on Jägermeister and the people, getting the people right. You know, there were so many people inside of Sidney Frank, so many talented people, legacy Sidney Frank people that really wanted to be a part of the future, and also assessing like, where can we bring in some new thinking, some fresh thinking. And we really, you know, looking at our marketing when I first came in, it was kind of ice cold shots for Jägermeister.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go with more always on type media and get Jägermeister back out in the mainstream, and at least build a platform to be able to tell the story of Jägermeister, which is a beautiful story, man. I mean, how many spirits bottles have a cross on them? You know, how many spirits bottles, you look at the whole backstory of Jägermeister, it's incredible. And it's a pretty romantic story, I think, from my perspective at least. And how we tell that story and how we get it out for Jägermeister is what leads us back to growth, because there has been decline for Jägermeister. At the peak, 2008, when Jaeger bombs were flying, man, Jägermeister was crushing it. You know, then that kind of whole Four Loko thing happened with alcohol and beverage consumption, or in caffeine. So
Yeah.
tap the brakes moment. I was actually at Red Bull at that time. Tap the brakes moment. So that was some headwind for the Jägermeister brand. But the brand never really put roots down, Josh. I mean, Jägermeister was just kind of, it went to glory in the US as kind of a party brand under the genius of Sidney Frank and Cold Equipment. So we wanted to really introduce the brand, the 56 natural botanicals that make up this brand, a cold macerate, you know, 1-year oak barrel, you know, good German oak barrels aging. So this brand has so much quality and German perfection, truly like German perfection built into the liquid of Jägermeister, that makes it such a beautiful brand. We wanted to tell that story. So we've built a marketing platform, which is kind of NHL, official shot of the NHL, which is always on. So we're always communicating to consumers. And then we're kind of right now building out some super exciting stuff, which I wish I could talk about, but I could talk a little bit about. We've partnered with NIVA, National Independent Venue Association, made
Yep.
$1,056 donation to NIVA, and we've partnered with them, and we've signed some amplification. You know, we've signed a really authentic, much like Jägermeister, really authentic and cool celebrity who's going to help us amplify that, actually in the music space. And that campaign's coming soon, and that's kind of our really purpose-driven content of, man, if you want to be a part of what post-COVID looks like, you know, with the music scene opening up and all these venues that have been shut down for so long and struggling, then come with us on that journey, man. That's the goosebump moments in life that we want to unleash post-COVID. I think it's going to be a boomtown post-COVID.